r/AskScienceFiction. Aomoku91 says, DC, how can Batman be so delusional about his importance? After his infamous contingency plans to defeat any other member of the Justice League were discovered, Batman replies the contingency plan for him is the rest of the JLA. How can he be so haughty and delusional? Does he really think he's a menace same level as Darkseid or Doomsday? A more realistic answer would have been, why do you need a contingency plan for me, Clark? Anyone here can just send my head flying with a flick. Dividuated says, if Batman went evil, do you really think he would announce it at the next JLA meeting? The first the other members would find out would be after he already set in motion all those plans against them, and when the survivors tried to go after him, they would discover he had fallen back to a fortified location, armed with all their weaknesses, and filled with new villainous allies. Firelock_9 says, and after hitting said fortified location, the League would discover Batman was never there, but having the League hit it was part of Batman's plan. Bam says, I mean, you sort of answered your own question. Batman understands that he is a threat to the rest of the JLA precisely because he was capable of coming up with plans to disable all the other members. These plans were decisively proven to be effective. Not to mention Batman knows he's a very rich, very intelligent, very resourceful, and very well connected individual. If he were to break bad for any reason, he would definitely be a major threat. So no, Batman is not being delusional when he considers himself a threat on par with Darkseid or Doomsday. There may be a debate to be had about whether Batman could destroy the Earth as effectively as Darkseid or Doomsday could, but a Batman who's turned to the dark side would definitely warrant a response from the entire JLA, and Batman is self-aware enough to realize this. Starwine51 says, Batman has a plan to take down the League one at a time. He knows this. So any one member coming after him is going to lose, because he already knows how to take them out. Even a small group could still lose to him, because of his planning. The entire League would be impossible to plan for. Batman is not being arrogant. Over his history he has taken out pretty much all of the villains and the heroes at one point. Everyone has a weakness, and can be lured into a trap. This is a large part of how Batman works. His whole mindset is how to use weaknesses and set traps to exploit those weaknesses. Most of the other heroes would not be able to make a plan to take him out because of this. So skip the plan and go with overwhelming force, where there is no way Batman can have enough resources to stop everyone. That Scotch bloke says, if he's that easy to be just by virtue of having superpowers, why haven't any villains taken him out yet? Shaky Flood says, Batman who laughs. That's all I'm saying. Bonzi777 says, he's a multi-billionaire with a genius IQ, and can be just about any mortal he meets in a fight. There's going to be some arrogance involved. Janus Moth says, he's a rich guy from birth who goes out and fights crusades against the evils of the night. He ain't all there. Dr_Ugg says, if Batman turned evil it would be the end of days. Let's say he winds up like Luthor. That's every JL member, maybe every hero, dead. There's no Batman resistance, because he kills all of them before they even realize he's turned. Now let's say he winds up like Joker. The Earth would be reduced to a post-apocalyptic wasteland within a matter of months. Economies destroyed, world leaders assassinated, sea of weapon arsenals released in the populace. In a scenario like this, he wouldn't even need to kill the JL. He would systematically break each and every one of them. Superman? Easy destroy Metropolis along with his family. Wonder Woman? I wonder if Amazons are immune to radiation? No member of the JL has a strong enough will to weather the storm of a hateful sadistic Batman. The best shot the JL have against him is if it's a Justice Lord scenario where he decides that he need a more forceful authoritarian form of good. A sociopathic or psychopathic Batman, with the element of surprise, wrecks not only the League, but potentially the entire Earth. r/AskScienceFiction. Cryogisted says, Junji Ito's Glyceride, how could barbeque meat produce that much grease? It's said that the ventilation of the Yakiniku restaurant was just terrible, but we may see that the grease covered every inch of their upstairs house. The restaurant was also seemed to not be that busy from how the character's father said, "Ah, you kidding me?" as he lamented on his failure, implying that it was never successful to begin with. Was it the result of years of bad maintenance, or there was something to do with the meat they used? Irie82 says, I have a friend who lived in a room in a hostel above a broster's chicken shop in college. You couldn't smell the oil in the rest of the hostel, just near his room, cause he was directly above the shop. After a while he couldn't smell it anymore. Yeah, no, that nose blind thing. But yeah, you could smell it in his room and outside of it when they were open. Surprisingly, he didn't switch rooms for months and I don't remember him smelling like it. Then again, he also smoked a lot of weed, so I'm not sure if that might have covered up the oil smell or it just didn't really stick. When I did my brief stint of working a fryer, I definitely smelled like oil and could smell it on me, but all it took was a shower to be rid of it. r/AskScienceFiction. Cold_bookkeeper_2113 says, God of War, which gods would Kratos have spared if they had shouted, alright, I submit. I submit, just before Kratos had killed them? Ocean Dragon 6 says, Kratos was the kind of guy who would avoid killing, if possible, unless it was Zeus or Ares, but when gods just keep attacking him, he doesn't leave them alive, and does so in painful ways. But if you don't piss him off and leave him alone, he wouldn't kill you. And then Gao 2018 Kratos is still like this, but had learned to not kill in self-defense unless he really needed to. So yeah, he may not like the gods, but he would let them be if they are not screwing with him in one way or another. Acid Silver says, technically all of them except for Zeus, Ares, Heimdall and Odin. In Go W3 Kratos only sought to fight Zeus and didn't care about fighting the other gods. We see this most clearly in his fight against Hercules, where he tells Hercules to get out of his way because he's only interested in Zeus. There was no talking him out of fighting Zeus or Ares though, since he wanted nothing more than enacting revenge on both of them for the pain they've inflicted on him. Granted, it's still possible that he'll have a finish what you started attitude and kill the gods anyway, but it's honestly a 50/50 depending on how annoying each god was towards him. It honestly looked like he might have spared Helios if Helios hadn't tried to trick him into killing himself via the flame of Olympus. Hermes meanwhile was going to die no matter what. In Go W 2018 and Ragnarok he's actively avoiding killing any other gods outside of self-defense. He only kills Balder to protect Frigga and even refuses to kill Modi when he shows up all beaten and bloodied by Odin. He only chooses to kill Heimdall and Odin because Heimdall will kill Atreus and Odin won't ever stop hunting them and is a threat to the Nine Realms. In both of those cases Kratos only kills them when he has no other choice, as we see when he spares Heimdall at first only for Heimdall to keep trying to fight him, and when he does everything he can to avoid going to war with Asgard to fight Odin until he realizes there's no other option. r/AskScienceFiction. William_Wissenhemus says, the Expanse show, when Maneo went through the ring, why was only his body destroyed? Why wasn't the ship flattened like pancake? Darth Tipo 92 says, the ship could resist the high G forces better than he could. It still suffered massive damage, but it's more like stress fractures and warping of the structure to him being liquefied. Below Zilch says, the slow zone field basically only stopped the ships in place. We saw the same thing happen when it slowed down the second time. The ships were fine, but everything inside splashed against the wall. As for why it worked that way, you'll have to ask the builders and you'll need some blue goo for that. Xeno Riot says, the slow zone's damping field, or whatever you want to call it, appears to essentially slow every part of the ship, conceivably every atom of it, simultaneously and individually, so the ship actually feels no stress from deceleration. The field doesn't seem to care about the contents of the ship though, hence the chunky saucer. That's all for this video. Was it good? I know not, for I'm a robot. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. This video is the product of an automated process.